As you're aware, in speaking with Mike Vaswani, our president, the Asian American Group, or AAG, has been around for about 20 years now. We've been doing political interviews for 6 to 7 years for purposes of the endorsement process. In addition to endorsing people for various races, we also will do the following. We're getting ad space, we're taking out ad space in various Asian periodicals. And for about the month leading up to the election, from basically the beginning of October through the election on November 4th, we're going to have a full-page ad that will list all the races for which we're endorsing people, as well as the individuals who we're endorsing. As well, when early voting starts on, I want to say it's October 18th, somewhere thereabouts, we will in all probability be having an event here in the Chinatown area where we will, at lunchtime, get a restaurant, feed a bunch of people, and then we'll give them our slate cards listing the individuals we're endorsing. And that restaurant happens to be in the same parking lot, literally 105 feet away from an early voting station.
Oh.
So we will
105 feet away.
Yeah. So we do our best to try and not only get the vote out, get the word out about who we're endorsing, but we also do encourage people to take advantage of their civic duty and vote.
Yes.
So, but that's just a little bit about us. Now it's our turn to find out a little bit about you. The first question that we generally ask individuals is, why have you decided to run for this particular race at this particular time? But why have you decided to run for this race at this point in time?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for creating this forum and for creating the opportunity to listen to candidates who otherwise wouldn't be listened to, perhaps. The reason I'm running is because I moved to Las Vegas 70 years ago. When Las Vegas was 8,000 people, it ended over on Charleston Boulevard.
Yeah.
We had moved here because my father was working for the dam had just been constructed, and my father got a job as engineer for the government here. So that's why we moved. And since I was a little kid, I've always been interested in solving problems. And last 3 years ago, I ran for mayor and had one campaign or one platform with my mayoral campaign. And that was just bring the Chinese tourists to the United States. Just give them visas. There are at least 100 million Chinese who would love to visit Las Vegas, and they simply can't get the visas because the embassy is so slow, or they have these embarrassing process of getting the visas. And that didn't work. People listened and heard me and said, oh, we'll work on this. But 3 years has passed by, and what has happened? Really very little. It's true, the international visitors have gone from 18% up to 20%, but that's a minor detail compared to the tens of millions of Chinese that want to come to America and who would spend their money here. Every 33 tourists that comes to America creates a job. That's how, and it doesn't cost anything to create these jobs. Our political elite wants to create jobs by spending money. All their schemes are, oh, well, let's buy the businesses to pay the businesses to come here. We don't have to pay people to come to Nevada. Las Vegas is a very unique city, and everyone wants to visit it. That's why I'm running, because I think that I have ideas we can implement in the state, which will bring prosperity, bring good education to the state, move the state forward instead of being in the stagnation we're in now. I'm sorry to take so long.
No, please. One of the things that first struck me about your website in researching for this morning, or for these interviews, at the top of your website, you refer to yourself as a domestic terrorist. Terrorist usually has some negative connotations ascribed to it, but I'm assuming you mean it in a somewhat, well, positive light. Why don't you tell us about why you characterize yourself as such?
Well, this comes out of the land issues at the Bundy Ranch, which I believe is the Second American Revolution, where the people are actually taking up, getting their courage to demand that the federal government give us the lands that we deserve, that are within our state. And Senator Reid referred to people who want the lands for the state as domestic terrorists. So that's why I classified myself as a domestic terrorist, because that's the way Senator Reid calls us who want the lands. 87% of the land of Nevada is run by the federal government, and run extremely poorly by the federal government. The federal government allows international gold mining companies to come into the state, tear up the territory of the state, get all the gold they can, and ship it off to wherever they want to sell it, with hardly contributing a penny to the people of Nevada, whose patrimony that is. That is our patrimony. And that could be used to service the state. Instead, because of the federal government, these companies are allowed to just come in as if we were some colony back in the 1850s, that these American companies would go into, take all the oil and just ship it wherever they want without caring about the population, let the population live in poverty. Gold is an excellent counterbalance to tourism. When tourism is doing well, the price of gold tends to go down. When tourism is doing poorly, people look for other investments, and gold will go up in value. When there's conflicts or when there's reasons for not traveling, then gold goes up in value. The people of Nevada should be benefiting from that market, not just a mining company that has come into the state and ripped off all this wealth out of our lands. We should be auctioning off these lands. And if the state had control over the land, we would be able to do that.
There was a movement, I would say, 4 years ago, and then again 2 years ago, when we were in the throes of our recession, to increase the taxes on the mining industry in general, which obviously some concessions were made, but it met with some resistance. If elected, would you be, it sounds like you would be in favor of, at least short term, increasing the taxes that mining companies would pay. Is that a fair assessment?
No. I want to decrease the taxes. The government receives way too much money. But there are other ways of approaching this. These lands with gold mines and any lands should be auctioned off. You bring the companies together and they say how much they're going to pay, and you establish the rules under which they're going to operate. And then at the other end, there are three elements of extraction industries. The value of the deposit, the quality of the deposit, the mining company itself, and the world market of that commodity. And the mining company is the most minor aspect of the whole process. What matters is the deposit, and I would auction those off, like we auction off gold, oil reserves and so on, and get money at the beginning up front for that, and then at the end I would participate in the marketing of the gold. When the price of gold, when the dollar collapses, and I think there's no question the dollar is going to collapse, when it collapses, and gold goes up to $5,000 an ounce, why should we let a mining company take the entire $5,000? Why shouldn't the state participate in everything over, say, $1,500 an ounce for the price of gold? The mining company doesn't control the price of gold. The state doesn't either. But why not have the people benefit when the price of gold goes crazy, like it's going to happen? This is what Sarah Palin did in Alaska. Up to 80% over a certain price of the gold, of the oil sales in Alaska go to the state. And the state of Alaska pays everyone in the state, what, $6,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 a year out of those out of those oil revenues that are created not by the mining company, not by the oil company, they're created by the market. And so I want us to benefit from the deposit and from the market. Let the mining company do their work. Any mining company can come in and tear up the ground and get the gold out and do that. That's what I want to do. I don't want to tax them.
Well, isn't the government, the state government, not to go too far afield, but we're essentially saying that the state would get its cut of the proceeds from the sale of the state's resources above a certain threshold. That smells a lot like a conditional tax, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's simply participating in the market. The market is controlled by many factors, and it depends on how much gold people in India buy in gold to give as gifts. Now the market has changed in India, so India's buying less. China is rumored to be buying tons of gold to establish a reserve and become the reserve currency in the world. I personally think they're going to succeed. And the backing up of that is gold. We in this country have squandered our resource of being the world currency by we debase the currency. We should be pushing we should be exalting the currency and making it as valuable as possible. We should not be printing fake money. We shouldn't be borrowing trillions of dollars. We shouldn't be conducting wars all over the world that debase the currency and destroy the currency. Once you destroy the currency, you've destroyed the economy, or you forced a huge change on the economy. And people in the world are at one point going to say, well, we're not going to accept your dollars, that all you do is just print these things. They're just pieces of paper with green ink on them. We're going to stop buying them, or we're going to buy them at a much lower price. And the government seems to like that, because our government thinks they can get out of paying the debt by debasing the currency even more. That's a strange policy for a country that has the world currency, the trading currency.
Ed, you are a third-party candidate in this, well, technically not in this race, but in general. And Nevada is somewhat partisan. Most of the votes tend to go straight down party lines.
Okay.
Assuming you're elected, how do you think a third-party candidate like yourself or any others who may be elected would fit into that scheme?
Well, depending on how the election comes out, I could have a tremendous amount of effect, because the ratio in the last legislature was 11 Democrats to 10 Republicans. Well, the Republicans think they can pick up districts 8, 9, and 10, or they can pick up 9 and 10 and retain 8. If they are unsuccessful in just one of those, they will be back to their margin of 11 and 10. I tend to be very conservative fiscally, so if I were to win the election, I would control which of the two parties has the, depending on which caucus I join, which party has the power, and my economic policies tend more toward the Republican side, and I hope to get Republican votes in the election, along with nonpartisan votes. The nonpartisan in my district, which my district, by the way, is the economic engine of the entire state of Nevada. It is the Strip, it is the airport, it is the convention center, it is the university. It's probably 30%, 40% of the entire economy of Nevada, and it's only one of 21 Senate districts. And I've forgotten what I was going to say. But
the nonpartisan voters in your
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I'm listening.
You remember better than I do. Okay. There are more nonpartisan voters in my district than there are Republicans.
But you would agree that based upon the most recent voter registration from July 14th, which is the most recent records by the Secretary of State, there are still more Democrats than the combination of nonpartisan and Republican voters.
Yes. Yeah. That gives me about a 2% chance of winning, and makes me have to use the advantages that underdogs really have in elections. And I thank you for that's another reason why I thank you for this opportunity.
So how do you plan on mobilizing your army and getting them to the polls?
We're still working on that. We're thinking about, this chicken thing seems to be very effective. We're thinking about putting people with chicken outfits out in front of the offices of people who refuse to come to debates. I noticed that you had 2 or 3 other debates presentations before today. Well, those people are being told by the Republican and Democratic Party, shut up, don't talk to anyone, don't put anything on the record that can be used against you. Those are chickens from my point of view, and maybe we'll use the chicken scheme. That's how the Democratic Party just got Hutchison to agree to to debate, what's her name?
Lucy Flores.
Lucy, on John Ralston. It seems to be pretty effective.
John, have you already answered anything about the margins?
I have not. Please, Joe.
My name is Joe Tinio, and I'm one of the panel, so I came.
I didn't get your name, Joe.
It's Joe.
Joe what?
Tinio.
Tinio.
I was a candidate for Assembly District 9, but I didn't win my primary. However, the question I'd like to ask you is, what do you think about the teachers' margins tax?
I think it is an absolute, total disaster for the business community. Imagine taxing businesses when they're not making any money. That's what's going to happen with this margins tax. It's just unbelievable. It'll make Nevada one of the highest taxed states in the entire union, which is really saying something, because some of them have extremely high taxes. This is the equivalent of about a 15% tax on income tax, which is, even California I don't think has reached 15% yet. But this margins tax is the equivalent of that. And it will destroy tens of thousands of jobs.
How are we going to fund education then if we can't get that done?
Well,
Because basically it's called a teacher's initiative tax.
it's called that.
Right.
But it doesn't go to the teachers, it goes to the general fund, and then the legislature debates how they're going to use it. This $607 million, $800 million, which is sucked out of the private sector and destroys jobs that way, and now they're going to put it into the public sector and create jobs, which they don't really, they destroy jobs. But anyway, to answer your question, it may not reach the teachers, and if it does, the solution for our education system is vouchers. Let the parents and the kids choose what school they want to send their kids to. It's very simple. And for $66,000, just the amount the state pays, that doesn't count all the money that the county puts in. They only get the amount that the state pays, $6,000 or $6,400. Students could choose, and we would allow them to choose anywhere in the world they want to study. I would encourage them to study in China, to learn another language, to learn culture, to learn how, when they come back to Las Vegas, they can take care of the Chinese tourists and make sure they want to come back a second, third, fourth time. We don't have those skills. We are very ignorant in terms of other languages, in terms of other cultures, and the school district perpetuates that. Why are we going to give them any more money? Let's give it to the parents and the students. They're the best judges of what they should do.
And Joe, just for your edification, one of the first things that Ed had said was he was significantly in favor of loosening visa protocols to allow Chinese tourists to come to Las Vegas to disperse their hard-earned wealth, shall we say.
Let me...
Drawing it back. Fill you in, because that was one of the first things we had said. I know you weren't here.
I like that.
Can I make another point about that?
Please.
Let's make it like Macau. I have a house in Macau. I've for about 10 years I've been going there. I've watched the incredible growth, the enterprise, it's just unbelievable. And the taking over of Las Vegas. When I went there, Las Vegas and Macau were equal, $6 billion a year. Last year, Macau was $45.2 billion, 7.5 times as big as Las Vegas. And the people in China talk about coming to Las Vegas. They don't talk about going to Macau. They talk about coming to Las Vegas. They love to come to Las Vegas. And now I forgot the point I was going to make. Oh, when I go to Macau, I could go to the airport or to the seaport there, and I fill out a card which has my passport number on it and my name, and give it to the immigration office, an immigration officer, and I get into Macau. That's what should happen here. We need these visitors. Every 33 of those visitors creates one job. Divide 10 million, well, I always say, just bring 5 million Chinese here and it'll double the economy. 5 million Chinese will gamble the same amount as 40 million Americans. And so just bring them here, we'll double the economy, divide 33 into 5 million, what's that? 100,000, 120, 130,000 jobs, something like that. That's what we would have here in Las Vegas. Instead, what do we have? We lost 200,000 jobs after 2008. We've only reestablished 100,000 of those jobs. 100,000, we have 100,000 fewer jobs in this state today than we had in 2008. It's disgraceful. And it's so easy to solve. All we need are the Chinese to come. And there are other people that want to come also. People from all over the world. Everyone wants to visit Las Vegas. You don't even need to sell them. They want to come here. Oh, it's so easy. As I say, I ran for mayor and suggested that, and everyone said, oh, yeah, and we'll do this and we'll do that. Not a thing. Hardly a thing. Very slight improvements.
Ron, did you have, do you want to ask our last question, or do we have time for pretty much one more?
No.
Okay, good.
Mike?
Okay, you said you want more Chinese to come, but as an assemblyman of the state of Nevada, the governor, they are in a position of power to make the visa control lose it. It's the federal government. So those are people who will be controlling who comes, who gets the visas, and if they want to make it like visa waiver country, yeah. So locally, state people can have no power at all.
You're right. That's a problem. I have limited power there. When I was running for mayor, though, I kept saying, if I am elected as mayor, I would go camp out on the White House lawn until we get visa waiver for China. Because we have the most powerful senator in the entire country, and tell me we can't get a more reasonable process for Chinese people to come here and Indian people to come here. This city has the potential of becoming the world center, the richest city in the world.
Agreed.
And if people would only believe in our industry, believe in our city, and start acting that way. This whole process of the county commission and the LVCVA saying, oh, we won't give any contracts to companies outside of Nevada, that is so narrow-minded and so childish that it's just beyond description. We should be looking for the best all over the world. We take in billions of dollars from all over the world. The worst of the world, the rest of the world has things to offer to us. Let's take advantage of that. We don't know all the solutions.
Okay. Well, we are right up at our time limit.
Oh, it's so fun.
It is a good time. And again, we appreciate you coming down. Having people with interesting ideas like yourself makes this process a lot more enjoyable. We enjoy the social aspect as well as the educational aspect.
Can I tell you the rest of my platform?
Please.
Okay.
We'll give you about 2
some
minutes.
of the other things. I'm the one that you always see on the television. If you watch the county commission meetings and so on, I'm the one that's standing up there and saying, "Oh my God, you're going to increase the salary of the public employees even more. When the public employees are already making 3 times what the private sector people are making." I'm the one that's always that you want to throw your shoo at the TV set because I criticize so many of the policies that they do. The agency I've worked most with is with the water agency. We do not have a problem with water. We are in the best possible situation with water of almost any city in the country. We have 15 million acre-feet of water flowing down our river, a river only 20 miles away from us, every year. We only use 220,000 acre-feet of that water. In other words, about 1.5%. I'm wrong. There's 15 million in the whole Colorado system. The upper basin receives, the Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and New Mexico receives 7.5 million acre-feet, and the lower basin, Arizona, Mexico, California, and Nevada receive 7.5 million. Of that, we receive 220,000 acre-feet. And on that, we built an economy of $100 billion. We have 2 million people living here. We can decrease the water more. Unfortunately, the former director, who I was constantly criticizing, wanted to raise the hysteria level and create the image that we're doing so badly, and it's all the drought that's causing the water not to be there. No, it isn't the drought, it's the managers of the lake, the managers of the river, that are allowing more to be drawn out than come into the river. It's just like your bank account. Would you keep drawing checks even though you don't have the money coming in? No person is that crazy, but our water department is that crazy. If this building had sprinklers in it, right now this building probably pays about $1,300 an acre foot for its water. That's a normal rate. If the fire department required you to put in sprinklers, this building would start to pay about $15,000 an acre foot, 10 or 12 times as much for water, just because the water department wants to create a sure income. They want to assure their supply. They don't believe in markets. They don't believe in selling more water, in creating more need for the water. All the water that goes in the drain ends up in the lake, and we can pull it back out. We take out and use 220,000 acre feet, but we could take out 1 million acre feet out of the water, out of the lake, as long as we put all but 300,000 of that back into the lake. And so we have an unlimited supply. So encourage industries that use water inside. Instead, the water department says, oh, conserve, 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 as if everything was the same. No, conserve the outdoor use, yes, because that wastes the water. The water's all gone once you do that. And then talk to California, Arizona, get them to conserve like Las Vegas conserves. We have an allocation of 300,000 acre feet. We only use 220,000 acre feet. We save 80,000 acre feet. That's 25%. Well, why can't Arizona do that? Why can't California do that? Stop growing alfalfa in the middle of the desert. Stop growing cotton in the middle of the desert, in the middle of a dry desert. It can be grown in the delta of the Nile.
Is it? And not to cut you off, we are pretty much right at our time.
No, argue with me, come on.
Aren't we now? Isn't the government now prescribing how an individual uses his or her land? If we're saying we don't want to give you water to grow alfalfa in the desert.
Well,
Or is that
the
just
whole point
hypothetical?
is you can't take more out of the lake
Okay.
than is coming in. And the lake should be maintained at a certain level. It holds 25 or 28 million acre feet of water, about a 4-year supply of water. And so that's what it's built for. And the more water that's in it, the more hydroelectric energy you get out of it. So take advantage of those things. Make it work like it's supposed to work. My father came here to work on the dam and the lake.
So is that a misrepresentation or misleading the public that our lake water level is dropping and dropping and dropping? In reality, it should have been 4.
That's right. If they only
Is that
control, if they can say, okay, we're going to receive 8 million acre feet of water. We're going to save 25% of that. That would be 2 million acre feet. And then here we have 6 million acre feet that we can distribute. Okay? That means all of you have to conserve 25% of what you use. Okay? Then the lake will fill back up. It will become the purpose it's supposed to, it was designed for. Another easy way of dealing with this is have the federal government just charge every user. Don't let them take the water out free. Charge them $100 or $500 an acre foot. Then they'll conserve on their own. That's the one good thing that the Southern Nevada Water Authority has done here in Las Vegas. They have increased the price of water, so people choose to conserve. And that's how we've been able to reduce our actual consumption of waste water that's lost from about 420,000 acre feet down to 220,000 acre feet underneath our